Mukesh, 35 years back, wanted to start a travel company.
Okay.
And he found his chartered accountant who offered to introduce him to me.
Okay.
So I did have a conversation with Mukesh Ambani, who even at that stage was worth 5 or 6,000 crores. Mukesh wanted 51%
Yeah.
share in the company, and I insisted on 50%.
Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Wisdom. I'm here with Mr. Arvind Tandon today. A couple of weeks ago, we were complete strangers. And then, as destiny would have it, we kind of bumped into each other at a coffee shop in Ambani Hospital, where I was trying to make up my mind about what to order because they had a 1-for-1 offer and I couldn't decide which other item to order. And suddenly a voice, a booming voice from behind said, order the focaccia something. Sardo, something, right? And I turned around and Mr. Arvind Tandon was sitting there. And so we got chatting. And of course, my wife listening in will know I'm a habitual I love these spontaneous conversations. She finds it very embarrassing. I walk up to people and I start, yes, she does. All right. Her name is Priya. So you can say hi to Priya.
I remember.
You remember.
I remember because I asked you.
Okay, you remember because you asked me. So yeah, hi,
As
Mr.
the Max say, I asked you.
I asked you. Okay, so there you go, Mr. Arvind Tandon. I'll ask him to introduce himself in greater detail, but he has a very wry sense of humor. He's kept me entertained throughout my journey from my home here. And I'm sure that we'll have a great conversation. So without further ado, Mr. Tandon, if you could, give us a brief introduction, a little background about yourself.
Sure. By the way, if you want to have fun, and on Zoom, for instance, you have these little windows where you put your name. So I always change my name from Arvind Tandon to Arvind Turned On because it's a great conversation starter. So somebody or the other would definitely ask, is that your real name?
Nice. I should not try that, but that's fun. So you are an entrepreneur who's into travel, into finance, into a lot of eclectic activities, right? By way of research, obviously, I checked out your website, but we'll talk about that in greater detail in a bit. But the fun thing that I realized talking to Arvind was that both of us went to St. Stanislaus in
Yes,
Bandra,
of course.
right?
So we're Stanislites.
We're Stanislites. So he's actually my senior, and I'm wearing my Stanislaus T-shirt, right?
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So you can see Sheldon, 1994 batch. So which batch were you?
I left Stanislaus in 1971
Okay.
and moved to Delhi,
Okay.
where my father, who was a government servant, was posted.
Okay.
So from Stanislite, I became a dipsite.
Okay. So any Stanislites listening in from the early 70s could probably, reconnect with Arvind, say hi, hit him up on WhatsApp. But yeah, so that was definitely a defining moment in our brief 15-minute relationship at Starbucks. And I was like, okay, definitely someone I could bond with. Maybe we should break out into Bond for Greater Things for the Stanislaus. You don't recollect the anthem. Okay, so I was telling Arvind again something that really embarrasses Priya is at all the weddings that we attend together, if there are two or more Stanislites, we'll stand there in the middle of the
Gathering.
in the gathering, and we'll start singing. With grateful hearts we sing your praise, dear school, our joy and pride, where we were schooled in virtue's ways. I won't sing more. All right, but that's our anthem. It's our claim to fame, and it's something that I'm very, very proud of and happy to wear on my sleeve, that I'm a Stanislite. 30 years later, I was telling you, we're still connected as a batch on a WhatsApp group. People have moved to Australia, the US, Poland. There's a guy in Poland. But we're all together.
More polished than you.
He is more polished than me, Deepak Fernandez. And he will send these crazy hoardings which have some 20, 45, 50 alphabets on them, right? Which we cannot figure out. So he's learned Polish. He has a Polish wife.
All right.
And he's learned Polish. And yeah, so my last comment to him was, how many points is this on Scrabble, right? Because I had no idea what it meant. But it's become an education platform in the sense that we're all learning about different cultures, and it's been really interesting. So yeah, so that's the Stanislite connection. Won't go too deep into that, but that was just a great way to sort of cement the relationship.
Or the lack of it.
Or the lack of it. But we definitely agreed that we needed to meet again. And I then began telling you about Conversations with Wisdom and how I thought you'd be somebody I definitely would like to spend some time with and find out more about you. You started telling me about the experiences that you had, not just in Bombay but in Delhi. And I wanted you to talk through some of your early years because of your dad's job, you all traveled around a lot. So if you could give us some anecdotes from your early years.
Oh, my, I think earliest memories were from a city called Moradabad, which is in Uttar Pradesh and which is famous because they produce locks.
Okay.
And also brass.
Okay.
So brass work.
Okay.
And my earliest memories are when we had neighbors opposite our home, and the gentleman was humongously fat.
Okay.
And I don't know why, one day my sister and I, at the ripe young age of probably 5, we started shouting outside while standing outside their home.
Okay.
Khanna Saab Mote. Khanna Saab Mote.
Okay.
So I do remember that because his daughters, who were very loving
Okay.
to both of us, they came out and they said, "Aisa nahi kehte."
Okay.
But, we kept on until my parents came out and thrashed us, which was probably, the right way to shut us up.
Got it. So where is your sister now? I mean, are you still
My
thick
sister
as
lives in
thieves and
Khar,
stuff like that? Okay.
near Kharjim.
Near Kharjim. Okay, so she's in Bombay. Okay.
She's in Mumbai. She's a lady of leisure,
Okay.
and her husband is the head of the largest home loan company in India,
Okay.
which is called Andromeda.
Okay. Okay.
And
And you all don't get together and stand outside people's houses and call them names.
I think that was a thing of the past.
Okay.
Yeah, but nevertheless,
No, I mean, and that's a great childhood memory. I mean, that's fun. I just meant it in jest because those are some memories that you can relive, and you have those fun childhood memories which kind of get you through hard times and something to look back on and sort of relive, right? So yes, of course. Moradabad, yeah. And your dad, there's an interesting event that you told me about, incident rather, that you told me about, which involved a former prime minister, right? So
that's right. Yes, of course.
Tell us more.
I mentioned that to you when we met.
Okay. Is that for
At
public
the-
consumption or?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It is.
It happened because it happened.
It
yes.
happened.
It happened. Yes.
And so my father was head of income tax intelligence.
Okay.
And since he was in that position, when the Morarji Desai government came into existence for 3 years or so, the Prime Minister, that's Morarji Desai, ordered my father to raid Indira Gandhi's house, who was an erstwhile Prime Minister.
Okay. Okay.
So Dad did that,
Okay.
along with another gentleman who was the Inspector General of Police of Uttar Pradesh.
Okay.
And post Morarji Desai's government falling, obviously my father was summarily punished by the Raja
Okay.
of that day. That was Indira Gandhi.
Okay. Okay.
In fact, my acupuncturist, who is in Santa Cruz, when he saw a movie of Ajay Devgan called Raid, he says, "This is absolutely on your father."
Okay.
And he insists and he tells everybody that.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Okay. Now let's talk about your businesses, the various business, the initiatives that you've started. You were telling me about, obviously the travel business and the intergenerational wealth transfer business, right? It sounded quite exotic. So if you could tell me more about that.
It's unusual for me to talk about exotic businesses since I'm more interested in erotic than exotic. But I started business about 41 years back.
Okay.
And that was because I was working for the company called Cox and Kings,
Okay.
which has its own story because I was doing my chartered accountancy before that,
Okay.
and mercifully I flunked. I wasn't actually interested because at that time there used to be hardly any interesting women in chartered accountancy, and I was always interested in women.
I'm not sure the situation has changed though. If I go by reports from friends and colleagues who have done their chartered accountancy, but let's not digress. So let's come back to Cox and Kings. Yes.
So I didn't want to do the chartered accountancy. My father, of course, insisted, and so I think one day I told Dad that tomorrow I am, after finishing college, of course, tomorrow I am going to Kashmir with my girlfriend who was 15 years older than I.
Okay.
And we are, going to go away for 2 weeks. And Dad said, no, but you're going to join your chartered accountancy tomorrow. So, given the fact that he held the purse strings, I had to ditch the girlfriend.
Ditch the girlfriend. Okay.
And join chartered accountancy.
Okay.
As I said, mercifully I flunked. So Dad said, what now? What will you do? So I said, I will join either travel or advertising because all the women are there.
Correct.
So I got a job with Cox and Kings in Bombay. I was there for 365 days and a half.
And a half. Yes.
And after that, I left because I wasn't satisfied with the remuneration.
Okay.
And after that, there was an opportunity to start a business with somebody,
Okay.
which I did. It didn't work for too long, not because I was dishonest or she was, but because she thought that the margins in the industry that I started, the travel company, were much greater than they were in actuality.
Okay.
So down the years, I thought that I need to get into a business where the margins were more controllable and where the money came in first. Because in the first business, that is ticketing, the money came in whenever people felt like paying it, and sometimes Not at
Not
all.
felt like paying it. Yes.
Yes. So I got into wholesaling cruises,
Okay.
which was a completely new system.
Okay.
People had barely heard of cruises. Even now, people call and say, "हमें boat में जाना है," and I tell them, "I'm sorry, but I think you're calling the wrong guy."
Correct.
नहीं नहीं, वो जो सिंगापुर से होती है,
Okay.
that's what they say.
Okay.
But we're now the largest wholesalers in India of cruises abroad.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We do close to 100,000 passengers a year
Wow.
through 35,000 retail travel agents all over India.
Okay.
But having said that, 13 years back, I sold the business to one of the Bianis.
Okay. Okay.
And, the Bianis are Marwadis and they run businesses in a very different way.
Correct.
Which is, they can pre-buy, they can put money on the table and say that, okay, you have 4,000 cabins, I will buy 2,000 cabins, and then go and sell them. And I would probably not have been able to have the mental makeup or the deep pockets to
The
be
financial
able to do
muscle
that.
to make it work. But so I mean, I should just mention here that you're talking about Arc Travels, right? Which is your company.
Which was my
Was
company.
your company?
Yeah,
Okay. Which you sold to the Bianis.
that's right. Yes.
Correct. Correct. So since we are in the current most talked about event right now is the Ambani wedding, which is the pre-wedding. Right, there are lots of these pre-weddings happening. So one of them is now going to happen on a cruise liner.
I think the pre-wedding on the cruise liner has already happened.
Is already happened. Okay, has it?
Yeah.
I thought, okay. So did you play any part in that, or were you
None at all.
instrumental? None at all.
Except reading the newspapers about it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but having said that, and I can't say that the Ambanis are close friends of mine because they're not.
Okay.
But I did have an opportunity to talk to Mukesh Ambani.
Yes.
Because Mukesh, 35 years back, wanted to start a travel company.
Okay.
And he found his chartered accountant who offered to introduce him to me.
Okay.
So I did have a conversation with Mukesh Ambani, who even at that stage was worth 5 or 6,000 crores,
Okay.
which obviously now has metamorphosed into lakhs of thousands of crores.
Correct. Correct.
But nevertheless, I think the whole conversation fell through because Mukesh wanted 51%
Yeah.
share in the company, and I insisted on 50%. And obviously, the Ambanis don't give people who are getting into bed with them any leeway on the monetary part.
But yeah, let's just take a moment for that to sink in. So you were sitting with Mukesh Ambani and
Across
he
the table.
Across the table, and as you told this to me at Starbucks, you said he said when you asked about the revenue share, not the revenue share, the stake in the company, right? You
Right.
said how much, and yeah, tell it to me like you.
Oh, he pointed to me and he said 49, and he pointed to himself and he said 51. So I pointed to him and I said 50, and I pointed to myself and said 50. So he said, "ठीक है, कल बात करेंगे," which never came.
Which never came. So obviously, congratulations on being able, I guess not many people would be able to take a call like that. I mean, startups kind of jump at deals to close it. I mean, people would say, what is 1%? Just give it, and but on a principle level, I guess you felt that it wasn't up to your understanding, or give me a little more clarity on why you chose to say no.
I think even at that early stage,
How old were you when this happened, approximately?
I was
In your 40s or 30,
No,
late 30s?
no. I was born in 58 and this happened in, I think, 85.
Okay.
So you're looking at...
37, 37, 38.
Yeah, possibly, yes.
Yes. Okay.
So I was relatively speaking a greenhorn,
Correct.
especially compared to Mukesh Ambani.
Correct.
Yeah. But nevertheless, I had clarity on that because one had heard stories about the fact that big business always sets up with smaller folk and then buys them out.
So, just to sort of, culminate this part of the discussion, what would be your top three, or your advice to somebody stitching a deal, like say an entrepreneur listening in, right? We do have a few of those who listen in. What would your top three checklist or top two or three pointers be when you're striking a deal? What would you say defines a good deal?
I think it's impossible to voice that because there are always numerous circumstances.
Correct.
And, but still, I think if you want simply for advice on that, I think the first thing is you need to get into a business where the money comes in first. And number two, where you have a control on margins. And number three, you are getting into bed with somebody who has a lot of knowledge, experience, and who's scrupulously honest.
So we've talked about your business, Arvind. Why don't you tell us about some of your travel adventures over the years? Some of your favorite destinations for people who are listening in, planning to travel. Maybe they can call you up for advice. But if you were to say, give us your top 2 or 3 destinations that people should definitely visit, which would they be?
I think Sri Lanka would be tops for me.
Okay.
Seconded by New Zealand, and the third could be Russia.
Okay.
For different reasons.
Okay.
Sri Lanka because the people are very warm, and also because it's very scenic.
Yeah.
New Zealand because it's spectacular, and Russia because the babes are spectacular.
This episode can definitely not be heard by my mother-in-law. So, Mama Rachel, if you're listening to this, please, I'm going to bleep this out for you specifically. So, I'll create a separate episode for you, right?
Why she would object?
I don't know. No, actually, she's pretty cool. But I just also wanted to ask you, right? I mean, how does your wife take this naughty sense of humor that you have? Or
I think it starts from the beginning.
Okay.
My wife and a cousin of mine were in love with each other.
Okay.
And his parents did not think that my wife would fit into their relatively conservative household.
Okay.
So they got him married off to somebody else.
Oh.
And I used to be head of the anti-marriage brigade.
Okay.
So my parents would keep bringing proposals.
Yeah.
And I would obviously say no. But one day they brought the proposal of my present wife.
Okay.
And I said, okay, this one I know.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and met her. And the first thing I asked her was, what's going to happen to my girlfriends?
Okay.
Because even then, as of now, I have virtually no male friends.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean, I don't even miss them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I asked her, I said, hey, what's going to happen to my girlfriends? So she said, oh, they'll be my friends too.
Oh, nice.
So that is how...
So you've been a good boy and above board from day one. No secrets, no skeletons in the closet.
Oh.
No. Yeah.
I don't think I can mention the skeletons on the mic.
Oh, okay, okay. No, I'm just saying that you have a very peculiar sense of humor, and it's great when your better half as well is able to laugh at it. Um, Keeps the marriage light and fun, and I'm obviously a lot junior to you, but
I know you're 45,
I'm 45. Yes,
so that's 20 years.
20 years younger, but uh, we the whole point about conversations with wisdom is we as younger, I wouldn't say youngsters, but I would say the younger a lot would definitely look up to our seniors, and hope that this is there is hope, or there is a way, and uh, look to some direction, right? I mean, that's how it all started with Uncle Steve, because he kind of inspired me when I watch him and the way he'd go about his business and stuff like that. So well appointed, so
what
well
does
thought.
Steve do?
So Uncle Steve used to work in, I think, in a bank, and then he now, for example, is in. Then he obviously took VRS and stuff like that, and now he manages his portfolio. He creates bonsais, but he will not give bonsais for free.
Okay.
All right, because his philosophy is don't do anything for free, and I found that pretty interesting. So his motto is keep occupied, don't keep your mind idle, which I think is the folly of a lot of so-called senior citizens. The moment
completely.
you go into beyond a certain age, people feel life is over. But the truth of the matter is, people are living much longer today because of the way medicines and technology and everything has evolved. And so it's either young at 60 or old at 60, whichever way you want to look at it.
So every time I go down for a walk
Yeah.
in the not inconsiderable environs of my complex,
yeah, yeah,
whenever I meet people, I ask them, I say, so what do you do? Oh, I'm retired.
yeah,
And they might be 60, 65, but nevertheless, I'm retired. And they ask me, are you retired? So I say, no, I don't think I'll be retired till whenever I feel like working, which is going to be a long time.
correct. In fact, one of the ladies I interviewed, a lady called Mrs. Alex Iyer, she is one of the animators of our ALM, and very, very active.
ALM,
And
the
the
network.
area local management committee. So she doesn't only look after her society but the entire neighborhood, and they've been instrumental in keeping the hawkers off the street. And if you come to the road down Four Bungalows near Good Shepherd Church, you'll see that it's beautiful. It's green, and even if the lights go off, there are a flurry of messages on the group, and Mrs. Iyer, along with one or two other key people, will kind of rally everyone to put messages on Twitter, and she'll help circulate the numbers of the BMC guys. And what I found is also that the BMC guys are willing to help. It's just nobody's asking them to help, right? And the headline of her interview is she started her social service at age 52, and she's 84 now, right? So I mean, kudos to people like her who believe that age is just a number. And
True.
it was a pleasure talking to her, and I'd been wanting to interview her for a long time, and then we just finally sat down and had a chat. But so I mean, it's instances like that that kind of give you hope, and people like that give you hope that age is just a number, and it's a matter of your internal conditioning.
I still think I'm 25.
I can see that. I hope you're not hitting on 25-year-old ladies.
I have absolutely no problem doing
No
that.
problem doing that, and I'm sure they have no problem hitting back, right? So you just have to be a little careful about that.
True.
Okay, so coming to your family, we've talked about your naughty sense of humor and stuff like that. What about the kids? Where are the kids? I believe you have 2 kids, right?
My son, who's 31, he's in Vancouver.
Okay,
My daughter, who's 39, is in Nairobi,
okay,
in Kenya.
okay.
And to answer your question about whether I miss them, all parents miss their children.
Correct.
But having said that, everybody needs to make their own life.
Correct. Correct. I agree. And in this day and age of FaceTime and WhatsApp video and stuff like that, you are in touch.
Oh,
right?
yes, absolutely.
You're just a call away, right? So the flip side of that argument is also, parents sort of guilting them into sticking with them, that I've taken care of you, now you've got to take care of me. And how does that dynamic play out, melange in the family, that they are doing their thing, you're doing your thing? And
Yeah, like my daughter who's now pregnant.
Okay.
And at this late age.
Okay.
So she and her husband are shifting houses from one lovely house to another.
Okay.
And since she is, in her middle pregnancy, so my wife will fly down for 10 days to Kenya and help them
Wow.
with the shifting.
Wow, that's awesome. And I personally believe that distance, a little bit of distance, is healthy. I might be sounding very old. My kids are like 15 and 10. My daughter is 10, going on 100, but that's a different story altogether. So yeah, she talks 9 to the dozen. But yeah, I think, like you rightly said, let them fly, let them do their thing. And I've seen this with a lot of seniors that I've talked to. So do you wish that they were in Mumbai instead of overseas?
Not really. I think, people need to work out what their lives are going to be, and therefore that's what they're doing. In fact, my son is not hitched, but my father, who's 92, kept bugging me to ask him, why didn't you get married? Why didn't you get married? So I called him up one day and I said, son, is there a guy or a girl that you're interested in? So he says, Pops, I was never interested in guys.
Okay.
But I thought it's important in these days to find out whether people are interested in guys, even if they're males.
Correct. No, I mean, seriously, kudos to you for even being able to ask that question, because a lot of mental health issues arise from, kids just not being able to express themselves. And
Oh, I have at least one dear friend
okay.
whose son is gay.
Okay.
And he must be about 28 or 30.
Sure.
And who's been in a married relationship with one guy
Sure.
for 5 years and separated.
Sure. I have some really good friends also who are gay. And
In fact, I even know a Marwari girl
Okay.
who does gay marriages.
oh,
She's a wedding
she
planner
specializes
for
in
gay
that,
marriages.
is it? Okay, so maybe we can flash her number, or
No, or you can
know,
interview her.
we can interview her. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I think
That
so.
sounds interesting.
I think so.
It's like that. Is she like that lady on the Netflix series who does
No,
matchmaking?
that's the Marwari woman.
But that's not the same one?
No.
No, this is a separate lady.
This one is
so-
probably about 30, 32.
Okay, 30. Okay.
That one is probably 60 or 65.
Can't get a name right now, but Sunita.
Taparia.
Taparia, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
I
funny.
never forget the names of women.
You never forget the names of women. You are just full of jokes. So, anything else that you would like to chat about? Because
Yes. So I've always set up businesses which have been able to offer people in the travel industry, for instance, an income which is from a source which is different from what they're used to, which is how I got into wholesaling cruises and holidays.
Okay.
And obviously, these would be commissionable to retail travel agents.
Okay.
And we've always scrupulously only marketed to the travel agent community because we don't want to compete with them.
Sure.
In fact, after I sold the company and during the COVID, I set up a company called Retirement Evangelists
Okay.
because I promote tax-free, intergenerational, long-term assured wealth transfers. And the original idea was to set up a business where the SOPs and the methods of learning as well as the methods of selling and training were exactly the same as in the travel industry.
Okay. Okay.
That didn't work really, primarily because the people in the travel agencies whom I had targeted were very conservative and did not want to get into businesses which were different from the ones that they were used to.
Sure.
So that is why after that I branched out into marketing, whatever I talked about,
Sure.
B2C.
Sure. Sure.
And I'm happy with the way it's going.
Excellent. Since you talked about retirement, you talked about services for retirement, something to do with retirement that you started. Just wanted to know, have you thought about a business opportunity, for example, for somebody who's retired, something that they could take up while they're at home, because obviously all faculties are in place, and if they could just do something to spend their time more fruitfully. Is there something that has crossed your mind?
Yes, in fact, the particular line of business that I have been doing for the last 4 or 5 years, it's perfect for people who want to work from home, because a lot of the trainings,
Correct.
as well as the methods, and last but not least, the ultimate sale can be done on the phone,
Correct. Correct.
especially in these days of e-money.
E-money, exactly. Exactly.
Yes, so I'd be pleased to, one, converse with people who you
Sure.
think may be interested
Sure.
or may want to get into something which could, make them money. One.
Sure.
Two, give them something which they want to reasonably be interested in.
Sure. Sure.
And last but not least, something that could be done by them until the end of their lives.
Sure, sure. So we will put your contact details in the YouTube page under this video, and so they can connect with you, your email ID, so they can connect with you. I think this is a good way to sort of end our conversation today. I think we could go on and on, and maybe we can bring the beer out now. And
Since
we can
I am
continue.
the talkative one.
You are you are the talkative one, but very interesting to listen to you, and I think this will only be the first of many such conversations that we will have. I'm really glad that I came to Starbucks that day, and I'm glad that you decided to intervene and
I always
suggest
do. I always
suggest
do.
the
And
focaccia
if it was a woman, I would have intervened even more quickly.
and offered to pay. I was waiting for you to offer to pay.
That maybe not.
Maybe
but
not.
nevertheless.
Nevertheless.
Yeah.
But anyway, Arvind, pleasure talking to you. God bless. Stay positive. Stay well.
And by the way, I don't believe in God.
Okay.
I stopped at the age of 14.
Sure. Sure.
And as the years go by,
Sure.
I'm more and more convinced that there is no God.
Okay.
One.
Okay.
Two, in fact, I just started reading a book called Nastic.
Okay.
Quite an outstanding book, although a little heavy.
Okay.
So I may or may not continue with it.
Okay.
But nevertheless,
Okay.
superbly written.
Okay.
Excellent English.
Sure.
And that is something that I'm always particularly interested in.
Sure.
And given the fact that I'm so happy with women in my life,
Sure.
I send a new word every day to 15 women
Sure.
who are dear friends of mine. And
Sure.
some of them
Sure.
appreciate it, some of them
To,
don't.
to each his own. I mean, I guess that's a topic for a separate discussion, and that could be an interesting discussion. It's not one there where I would try to convince you otherwise or whatever, but the way sort of things have panned out in my life as well, there I cannot put it down to any other reason than there being an existence of a higher power, whether you call it God, whether you call it a human or God in a human being or whatever it is, right? Whichever form, So I don't. So anyway, like I said, that's a separate discussion. I think we've
Yeah.
had a great chat thus far.
No, I was
Let's-
only intervening with that because
Sure.
to give you an idea of the mental makeup.
Mental makeup. So I guess whatever makes us a good human being. I think as long as you're a good human being, whatever you believe is kind of irrelevant. And please say hi to all the girlfriends. For me, maybe you can send Sheldon as tomorrow's word to say when you distribute that word of the day.
No, I'll
And
say baldy.
Baldy. You can say Baldy. You can put my number under it. Yeah, great speaking to you. Take
Hey,
care.
thanks. Kind of you.
Take care.
Kind of you to make the effort.
All right. Cheers. Bye bye.
You are listening to the Random Genius Media Podcast.